For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Welcome to the exciting world of the movies.
Hello, and welcome to the first ever edition of Reeves Classics, presented by the Movie Graveyard. Tonight we are presenting the 1988 or 1989, depending who you ask, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And to join me, I brought along the most prestigious Keanu Reeves expert known in the world of Kino, Zach. Zach, how you doing?
I am here, baby. I am here. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been very busy. Been very busy with school and shit. But I am always down to talk to Keanu Reeves. The Reeves, as I have dubbed him. He is the King Chad, the big concrete cock on this motherfucker.
Exactly. Sometimes when you're so busy, sometimes when I send you memes on Facebook, it takes you 2 days to see it now.
Exactly. It's so weird. It's so I'm so far away from the social medias now.
I know. That's what education will do for you. It will rob you of your social media.
Exactly. Very un-Kino, because we like to talk Kino on this podcast, and that's what else is it for? What else is for social media for but to talk the fucking films?
Kino, exactly.
Exactly.
So we're gonna get it rolling right along here in a minute, but before we do that, Zach, you actually don't even know about this, but I have to give some thanks here at the Movie Graveyard. We got a big boost this week. Well, the week that we're recording this will be coming out shortly, but the week we're recording this, the last 4 or 5 days, man, it's been going nuts, and we got to thank our friends at Podbean, the ones that I pay to host our podcast. They have their own podcast app, and it's getting more popular apparently. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they did, but they promoted us, baby. And in the last, I think since Monday, Monday is when I noticed the downloads exploded, and then I logged into my account, looked at my notifications. We got people following us on the Podbean app, pretty much a new one every 2 or 3 hours for like the last 4 or 5 days. So we're doing Bafo numbers, compared to I always found the numbers to be very, very encouraging. That there's a lot of other people out there that like Fine Kino the way we do, but man, you guys are coming along fast and furious. So if you're one of those people who found us through the Podbean app, just to put it in perspective, I think last month, because most of our downloads come through Apple Podcasts, but last month we had for the whole month we had 42 downloads through the Podbean app. This the first week of this month we've had 250, 260. So it just keeps going up and up and up every hour. So I don't know if they're just got us on a short-term promotion and this is going to dry up soon, but even if it ended now, for us, we're very humble. We're very, very small in the pond of podcasting, the ecosystem of podcasting. So for us to get 50, 60 new listeners in the course of 3 or 4 days, it's really encouraging. And
that literally makes my dick stand up like that Nelson Entertainment logo right there.
Exactly, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so I just wanted to say, if you're somebody who's just trying us out, who just found us through Podbean, I hope you stick around. I hope you go from being a new listener to a regular listener, and also a long-time listener, because we've been doing this for 7 years. And we have people who have been following us from the get-go, and new people popping in all the time. It's a lot of fun. And the whole reason I started this podcast was so people could, kind of look back and reminisce and think about and hear people talk about the movies that you grew up with and had fun with. So that's what it's all about. So thank you for joining in on the party here.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
All right. So we got to pause. We're both rolling off the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure Blu-ray by our friends at the Shout Factory.
Stand up and shout.
You ever call Shout Factory? You have a problem with your order, man. Everybody's deaf. They pick up the phone, they're just screaming in the phone because they just make shouts at that factory all day. So it's blowing their ears out apparently.
It's all the machinery going around pressing the discs. They gotta yell over it, and it's leaving that weird residue on the fucking Halloween.
It is, babe. Which, by the way, like I've gotten a bunch of discs lately, and some of them have that residue that came, if you will, and I like pretty much there's two major. The majority of stuff is coming out of two plants now, one in Germany and one in Mexico. And usually you can tell, like on the back of the thing, it has stamped either disc made in Germany or disc made in Mexico. Every single greasy one, every one is coming out of the Mexican plant, and it's actually the case secreting the thing. So like whatever, I don't know if the temperatures are extreme down there or what. So like people act like they can't figure it out, but it's I forget the name of it, but the Eco or whatever Viva Elite 4K case. Yeah, it drips all over.
I know what it is. Our boy Bat32 moved to Mexico, and he's the one pressing those discs.
He's pressing
all
the
greasy.
disc now. So we have it paused on the logo at the beginning of the movie that says Nelson Entertainment. It's a blue background with a big, beautiful, waxy statue protruding into the sky. This logo will fade up and say Nelson Entertainment's at the 22-second mark on the Blu-ray. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. And if you would like to follow along at home, you can hit play on your remote. You ready, Zach?
I was born ready, baby.
You were born hard and ready. That's right. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Look at that beautiful sky in that logo blowing by.
Is there any other movie with that logo?
I don't think so. Like, maybe some lower budget ones or something, because I remember seeing it on the back of like VHS tapes, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to them.
Fucking, what if they just existed just to put out Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and then they fucking just rode off into the sunset? Like that was like they were like that episode of fucking what was it called, Seinfeld, where fucking George, he's you got to go out on top. They're just like, fucking, we put out our magnum opus and now we're leaving.
It's pretty much happened. Like they were a tiny company, and I think it was the De Laurentises that actually made this movie. They gave up on it. They didn't want to release it. And according to Alex Winter, Nelson Entertainment came in and for a fire sale price bought this very cheap, and then negotiated distribution with, I believe, Orion, because like they should have their Orion logo at the beginning, but at least this version they ripped it off and put that horrible new modern CGI MGM logo. Which, I mean, I like MGM. There's nothing wrong with MGM, but like I hate that logo.
Me that lion, the CGI, that's like some of the best hair rendering I've ever seen.
Well, I think the lion's real, but like if you, I hate where like, I don't know if they retouched it like later, but if you look at it on the bottom, it says MGM.com. That MGM.com's, it's always like jittering and floating because like they CGI'd it on later. It bugs the shit out of me.
What do you think of this opening? I always forget it's here.
Me too. Like, it's so iconic, I guess I should say, because I had the original VHS. I bought it used at a little independent video store. And I watched the shit out of this on VHS for years and years. And it's like you always forget it. But then, like, it's really this song, the dun, 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 all my life I've been wanting to came and I bells to say, well, I gotta break away.
Directed by Stephen Herrick, the same guy that made Critters. Amazing.
That's right.
What a king. And then we start out. Basically, this intro was completely they had to reshoot it or something, because they originally had an intro that took place at the school where they're getting ready to go. Or no, it took place. Well, it still opened with them in the garage, but then it had them get to school. They got in the bus and all kinds of stuff. There's some publicity stills that exist of them in the fucking at the bus stop, and they actually put out the vinyl soundtrack recently, and it had a holographic cover like that. They fulfilled the prophecy.
Really, with the guys swinging their arms or whatever.
Exactly. I did not get a chance to get it. I didn't know about it till it was already gone.
Yeah, like, okay, I didn't notice it until seeing this in, I guess, high def. There's a lot of kettle chips product placement. There's some kettle chips on the table there. There's going to be kettle chips in their houses all throughout, and when Missy goes to the grocery store. Isn't it weird that, like, the kettle chips bags, and, like, because for some reason, I was never hip to kettle chips when I was a kid. It seemed like I didn't start seeing them until, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. I didn't realize...
Did you eat a lot of kettle chips as a kid? That's all I'm thinking of. Fucking that line from Tommy Boy.
I just remember Ruffles when I was a kid. That was, like, the big thing was Ruffles.
Ruffles are fucking donk.
But
that scoops up a lot of that fucking French onion dip.
Oh, God. I was eating French onion. You know what I do? Is I get the French onion dip, and instead of chips, I do pretzels, baby.
Oh, that sounds fucking
so
amazing.
Because they have more of a bready texture to them.
Pretzels are donk.
But yeah, like kettle chips, it weirds me out when I look back at movies from like the 80s and you see them and like the bags look exactly the same as they do now. Like they never updated the logo, the colors, nothing.
I appreciate that.
I do
I
too.
appreciate it. Fucking too many people like they don't stick to their fucking design. I think more people should.
Well, especially if you got generations of people growing up and loving it, why abandon it and basically become a whole new product? You know what I mean?
Like, just look at the fucking Pepsi logo. What the fuck? Like, it's basically the same. They just like made one side of it like they pinched it shut.
Oh, it's
almost.
horrible.
It's like, why? Why'd you do that?
They
It's
cut
garbage.
the Pepsi logo.
Exactly. We're meeting our boys here. Fucking see that weird fucking dissolve there. That
Like
that
Star
wipe.
Wars.
Exactly. That kind of it does do that a lot in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched Star Wars because I didn't grow up watching it.
Yeah.
I remember noticing that. Like, that's such a fucking cheesy dissolve or transition effect. I don't know why that was ever huge or ever popular.
Like the wipe where it pushes it off the screen. I always thought that was like impressive.
Oh yeah, the side swipe.
Yeah.
Well, the best was whenever they hit it and had like a character walk in front of the camera right as it side swipes. Oh, we're getting the fucking famous lines here. Fucking, they're all the quips.
Yeah.
Basically, we're meeting our boys. They're in high school and fucking they're in their class with their teacher. I forget. I saw that guy playing a teacher in another movie more recently.
Casey, yeah.
And I forgot what it was.
I think he was like a big blaxploitation, like kind of cool guy. But I always knew him as the guy who's head of the fraternity association and Revenge of the Nerds, baby.
That might have been what I was thinking of. That might have been what I was thinking. He wasn't a teacher. He was,
Because there's a thing for historically, which by the way, another thing that the Podbean thing did was all of a sudden this month compared to previous months, we got way more listeners in the UK now, baby.
Fucking the UKs.
Yeah, so I'll explain this to maybe the UK listeners don't know this as much, but here in America we have something what's called historically black colleges, HBCUs, and then we also have historically black fraternities. And Revenge of the Nerds, like nobody like wants them in their fraternity, so they have to start a new fraternity. So they go to a historically black fraternity organization and say, can we, fulfill the requirements to basically have a chapter of your dank ass fraternity on our school campus. And he actually gives them a shot in that movie. It's very nice.
Fucking the king. He knows the plight of the nerds.
He does.
Fucking his people were going through that not that long ago. Fucking one day you guys are gonna have to step up, take back what's yours, take back the school. Because really the nerds are cool now, but like back then it's like fucking. Why was it ever like fuck? Why were the nerds ever like beat up on? Like fucking the jocks were the cool one. That's weird.
It's hard for me to say. I mean, I'm older than you, but I was born in the late '70s, so I was starting to really Revenge of the Nerds. That movie came out. I was probably in kindergarten or so, around that age. So to me, my first ever experience with nerds for a lot of people was Urkel and Family Matters, but for me it was actually Revenge of the Nerds. So but I don't know. I don't. There was bullies in school and beating kids up and stuff, but it wasn't really nerds or the kids that were smart in school. Just pretty much if you didn't have any friends to protect you, that's who the bullies would run to go beat up.
Exactly. Here we are, fucking Missy. Fucking the reoccurring joke where he keeps calling Missy because they went to school together. Very Chad.
That's right. They're seniors now, but when they were freshmen, she was a senior. And then she graduated and she immediately married Bill's dad.
Why is that a thing? Why do young women want to date old men? That's so weird.
Oh, yeah, Alex Winter, he just grabbed the kettle chips right there. You know what? That was another preconception that I got from movies as a kid. I don't really see it that often in real life, in all honesty.
I remember hearing that fucking that happens a lot or something. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, weird. I don't know. I mean, I think it happens with rock star dudes. The Rolling Stones would always be in their 60s dating 16-year-olds and shit. But normal people just living in the suburbs and shit, I haven't really seen it a lot.
Exactly. What do you think of Ted's dad? Who's got the cooler dad, Bill or Ted?
Oh, Ted by far. Like he wants to send him to military school and stuff, but Bill's
That's
dad is
cool.
just like a molester, pretty much.
Yeah, fucking. If you're gonna have a dad, you might as well want to. Like, I wanted my dad to fucking send me to military school. The
Oh
fact that he
yeah.
didn't pisses me off to this day.
If your dad would have sent you to military school, you would have loved him even more.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because then it would have been like Child's Play 3, and all the students would be killing each other.
Oh, okay. Kettle chips. Just
Yeah.
like the fucking. Okay, I get it now. Fucking just
You
kind of
didn't know
like
what the hell
the.
I was talking about, did you?
I didn't. I did. I thought you were making shit
They're
up.
like those. They're like those little they're almost like folded on top of each other. They're super crunchy. Like they're super hard.
Mm. Fucking people who got this on 4K recently,
Yeah.
they discovered that on the podium that the futuristic dudes are sitting on. Well, there's a chick there too. The futuristic people. That's actually the saxophone player from fucking Bruce Springsteen's band.
Yeah. Clarence Clemens, baby.
What a king! What a Kino fucking Valentino over here, Big Chad.
They needed 4K to know that was Clarence Clemens. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
they needed 4K to notice that there's a fucking Circle K logo on their podium.
Oh, amazing! I didn't
Circle
even
K
notice.
is sponsoring them in the future.
Oh, okay.
So the one thing we know is that Circle K will never go out of business for the next 400 years.
Kind of like in. Oh yeah, I kind of see it there. Um, but it's so like little and small. But kind of like how Demolition Man taught us in the future, all restaurants will be Taco Bell.
I wonder why they did that. Why they put a Circle K logo there. Just nobody will even notice. Let's just put it there. Somebody will notice one day when we put it on a 4K.
Wouldn't it be funny if like you were making a movie like that and somebody paid you like product placement or whatever like that, and you're like, okay, we'll use your logo, but we'll put it in the most fucked up places nobody will notice.
That's the fucking Kino thing to do.
I don't know.
That's the good shit. So what do you see? It's always weirded me out because well, the first time I ever watched this movie, I was probably like fourth grade or something. I stayed home from school, and I stayed home from school a lot, fucking just skipping school. Like, Mom, I'm sick, fucking, and I just stayed at home and watched the fucking digital cable. It was around the time we got digital cable, and because they had like so many movie channels. And I remember I watched this. It had to have been on like Encore or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
Fucking,
Stars on Corey's playing. By the way, there's like this little kind of yellowish greenish demon toy behind Bill's head. When he was sitting back there. Like I had that toy and I had it like in a box for years, and I never knew what the fuck toy line it came from. I was always confused. But I've seen that toy pop up in a shitload of movies and TV shows, and even though I owned it, I have no idea what it was from.
oh yeah, it's from fucking Bill and Ted movie in the background.
Maybe I have the one that they used in the movie. I don't know.
You should just sell it on eBay as a screen use prop.
Dude, to take a picture of my phone of the TV if it's sitting in the background.
Oh yeah, Missy was sitting next to us in that scene.
Yeah.
Big Stacy. Missy's a Stacy.
Yeah, she is. When you're saying you were staying home a lot as a kid all the time from school, that's why you still have to go to school as a grown ass man, ain't that right?
Exactly.
Still in school.
The first time I watched this movie, I had like I was flipping through the channels, and I'm pretty sure it was on the scene where Napoleon is going down the water slide.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Never heard of this. It sounds like something I would like though. And fucking boy, was I right.
Dude, this is funny because like this Blu-ray is and I technically own this on Blu-ray. I had a UK Blu-ray and a Steelbook, but I just kept it sealed because it looked better because it had like the little, what do you call it, cardboard trim thing on it. So like I never really actually watched this till I got the Shout Factory box set. But I was like watching this and I was noticing all the signage at the Circle K, and it reminded me like there's that picture of Charlie Chaplin. There's actually three different posters of it. It says Quick Flicks or Quick Pics or something, and he's holding up VHS tapes. Like you're probably too young for this, Zach, but I remember there was like a fad when VHS rentals became so popular that like grocery stores would have their own video stores, and then like 7-Elevens and Circle K's and gas stations would have just like a little end cap of movies you could rent. And like I never actually did it. I just saw it in like places, but I'm like, back in like 1986 or whatever, what kind of inventory system would they have to track like who rented what tape? And back when tapes were like $90 a piece, I bet people just stole the shit out of the tapes from like Circle K and all that.
If I could go back in time, if fucking George Carlin showed up with this fucking phone booth, I would probably use it to go back in time and just take fucking VHSs from those video stores that I wanted to keep. Yeah. Basically. In fact, I'm surprised it's not the plot of this movie. He didn't just show up to do that.
Yeah, so he shows up in the phone booth, and then immediately another version of Bill and Ted from the future show up in the phone booth.
That's right. See, the first time I was flipping through the channels, I landed on this scene. I landed on this.
It's weird because, I mean, it's really only like a 5-minute scene, but like for the longest time when I thought about this movie, I thought of this scene for some reason.
I think I landed on this scene, but it was later on in the movie when it happens again.
Yeah.
But it's around the time that the fucking water slide shit's going on.
At Waterloo. Yeah. And it's funny, too, because like the first time you watch this, like this part, like they show the conversation again later, kind of. But the first part, like, it really doesn't make sense the first time you watch it.
It's fucking genius. It's fucking genius. I remember, like, fucking, when back then, like, yeah, you'd be flipping through the channels, you'd see, like, the end of, like, a movie, and it's just like, fucking, whoa, I like that. I wanted to watch the rest of it. So you just wait, like, fucking 5 hours for it to come on again, because they just showed the same fucking movies over and over again for, like, a month. But, like, yeah, every once in a while, it was just like, fucking, it'd be one of those movies where it's just like, oh, no, I got to wait, like, 2 days for this one to come back on. And then I set it to the VCR, recorded it, fucking, what's funny, too, is I remember watching this, I was like, fucking, when it happens the second time, I was like, oh yeah, genius, fucking, so Kino, fucking making it happen, making it all come together. The only thing they fucked up was that the historical figures were not in the fucking phone booth in the first part, and then when I watched it again, I was like, yeah, they are. You just don't notice them.
They're just like, because they only fit so many, they kind of darken them down, so you intentionally kind of couldn't see who was who, because that would kind of spoil it. You know what I mean? If you could recognize them right off the bat.
Very Kino.
I feel like this is the scene too that like a lot of people don't realize it was pretty much this scene in the Circle K parking lot that inspired like everything that's in Back to the Future.
Hell yeah. Fucking that movie ripped this movie off, I think.
Oh, big time.
So where do you stand on the fucking like fucking, I always thought Bill and Ted Bogus Journey was the better movie. I always liked it way more than Excellent Adventure. And I remember when I used to bring that up, people would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But then like later on, I started hearing it more. Like, yeah, more people like Bogus Journey. No.
It's so weird too, because like I have kind of like the opposite, whatever. Like not even really based on my own opinion. It's just the fact that I own this on VHS and I watched the shit out of it. So like to me, it's always going to be the first movie. But like I remember actually very well because I was older, a couple years older by the time I was like a teenager by the time the second one came out. And I remember like, whereas this one, because this was like a shelved movie that ended up coming out and being like a kind of like a sleeper hit type movie.
Look how good these effects have aged.
Honestly, I think they're really good because they're like basic enough that they like leave enough to your imagination that it's like...
It's uncanny valley between like, am I watching Bill and Ted or am I watching like Lawnmower Man? I think exactly. It's like it's better than the Lawnmower Man. Like the Lawnmower Man stuff is just, there's so much of it that it's just overwhelming how shitty it looks. That is just like fucking.
Well, see, I think Lawnmower Man looks even better than the movies now, honestly, because like at least with like Lawnmower Man type shit, it's very crude and blocky, but at least there's like an artistic bent to it, if you know what I mean. Whereas, like, shit now is just trying to look like a muddy fucking video game.
Now they're trying it to look photorealistic, and it just doesn't work. We need art style to the...
I agree.
Exactly. Fucking... That's how they fuck up.
But like, I remember when Bogus Journey came out, and, like, I don't remember it being, like, a heinous flop the way everybody says it was. I mean, maybe it was financially, I don't know. But, like, I really remember it was, like... Everybody was excited, like, hey, there's a Bill and Ted movie, another Bill and Ted, but it was like that thing of like they released it in the middle of the summer during blockbuster season, so there was kind of just like way bigger, more exciting movies, and it just feels like once it finally did come, part 2, that it just got lost in the shuffle after part 1 was such a big hit. You know what I'm talking about?
Fucking, I wasn't around whenever it was in theater. I wish I could have saw.
Too young, baby.
Exactly. But yeah, for a while when I recorded this movie, I was just like, fucking hell yes, fucking this movie's awesome. Did they ever make a sequel? So I immediately, I remember going to the video store. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 2, is it here? I don't. They didn't have a copy there, so I was like, fucking, they never made a sequel. Fucking, I didn't have as much access to the internet back then. And like, I don't know, it was probably like a year or two later. I'm fucking, again, thanks to digital cable, I'm flipping through the channels and I'm on fucking MTV X, the Headbangers fucking MTV
Oh my
channel.
god.
They show a bunch of like metal music videos all day long. And fucking just out of nowhere, I'm flipping through it and I don't remember which music video it was, but it was a music video that was on the soundtrack and it had fucking clips from the movie. And I'm watching it and I'm like, fucking, holy shit. Did they get Bill and Ted to be in a music video? Did they just get them together for another music video? Or is there another movie that I didn't know about? Did I not know about it? So I'm watching it and I'm like, this is definitely from a movie. So I'm watching the whole thing and ready. I'm ready. Fucking tell me what the sequel was, because I didn't see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure Part 2. Fucking and then that's when I found out, baby. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I had to see it.
Yeah, you were probably actually too young, or not. Well, you're probably born, but you're probably a baby. But like, you're probably too young to remember when there was like the cartoon and the toy line and all that shit, right?
Exactly. I didn't know about the cartoon until way later. There's a live action movie or at least TV series too.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, like I was like a little bit too old by the time the cartoon and all that rolled around. So like, I was like, I still went to see part two and all that, but yeah, I didn't really.
It blew my mind that fucking Bill and Ted both did the voices in the first season of
Yeah.
the Bill and Ted cartoon. That's so crazy. They never do that.
Yeah, like they wouldn't even ask them. Now they'd be like, oh, kettle chips in the background, and also Circle K. Well, they weren't called Big Gulps because I think 7-Eleven had Big Gulp, but it was whatever the Circle K. I like too how like there's just like Doritos bags and like crumpled up in the bed and shit for Napoleon's Lane.
Fucking just stoner bedroom over here.
It's funny too. Like I don't know. Like let's bring this up real quick. So like Ted is like really, they're both like kind of, I always took it as like metal guys, but like hard rock guys, whatever. And like this is really like there's Van Halen shit everywhere in their garage. There's a Van Halen poster. Ted's wearing a Van Halen t-shirt. There was a black light Van Halen 5150 poster on the ceiling right there. But like if you were to go back and like listen to those really the first two Sammy Hagar albums, which would have been out like around the time this movie was filmed and everything, like they're not really like rock albums. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're really like. So I was like, was this something where like Van Halen was referenced a lot in the script because they wrote the script in the early '80s, and it was like they were thinking more like the David Lee Roth, like really, the everybody wants some type of Van Halen, and then just by the time they filmed it, like they're like, yeah, just throw all these Van Halen posters up there. But it's like I really don't believe Bill and Ted would be into Sammy Hagar that much. No offense to Sammy Hagar, but
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking it probably was one of those things where it's like they just wrote. Apparently, Bill and Ted was based on like a comedic. Basically, it was like a stand-up comedy that the writers did, and
yeah.
there was originally a third guy who was part of it too, but he just got fucking. He did not cut. He couldn't stick with the fucking the Kino vibes that Bill and Ted had. He was he was like Greasy, the long lost third ICP member.
Yeah, he didn't realize that if he would have kept playing his character on stage, that eventually these characters would be adapted into a film series in which none of the original guys played the characters.
Mm-hmm. The fun fact that there actually was a third Insane Clown Posse member called Greasy, and he was like fucking. He was terrible. You listen to some of his shit. It was like fucking. How could it get any worse than like people were like, how can it get any worse than just the normal ICP members? It's like it did, baby, it did.
When they heard the rapping stylings of a Greasy, they didn't like it, huh?
Exactly. Listen to a fucking ICP in the high. And fucking, you'll hear some great Greasy lyrical stylings.
Which also too, going back with the early version of Bill and Ted, they were improv stage characters, and then they were like, "Hey, we should write a movie around these two guys because they just like performing the guys so much and always talking like them." Originally, Rufus was like a 28-year-old guy still in high school, and he had a van that just traveled through time for no explanation, no reason, and that's how they went through time.
Mm-hmm. And fucking, they had to change it because of Back to the Future or something.
Yeah. The studio, like once they optioned it in the studio, they're like, dude, you would like, we're ripping off Back to the Future so hardcore, which it's really weird because like even when I was a kid,
We just
like
mentioned that Back to the Future ripped this movie off. Well, they should have just done it anyway. We wouldn't know the truth.
exactly, it's like they should have been like, who cares if Michael J. Fox is going to steal all our shit? We should just do it. But they got cold feet because they knew that Michael J. Fox was a big star on Family Ties. But yeah, like when those two movies came years apart, on top of like the Terminator was also a big '80s movie. Like it was just like kind of normal that time travel was in movies in the '80s. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like you, like now you're like, oh, like this character in this movie has a beard, and look, 23 years later, this other character in this other movie has a beard. Complete ripoff. Like people didn't really think like that back then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fucking this is good though because they're fucking high school kids. The first thing they do when they go back in time into the fucking old west, they go to get a beer and they don't even get carded, bro. Fucking that's the Kino shit.
Yeah, I like it. I can't remember which one says it, but one says, "Hey, he didn't even card us. We got to remember this place." Like they're gonna time travel again, just to fucking keep drinking this old watered down beer in the old west.
Fucking Kino shit. The risk getting shot by like some pissed off Billy the Kid.
The Billy the Kid shit in the movie, like I always loved it, but like it never really made sense to me how he comes in. He's like, "I need two men to come with. Who's with me?" And they're like, "We're with you, Mr. the Kid." But it's just like he makes it sound like they're going to go rob a stagecoach or something together, but instead he just needs partners in playing cards.
Hell yeah. Fucking he needs two guys that are gonna help him to fucking fix this card game.
Yeah. And apparently the majority of this movie was shot in Arizona. It's supposed to, like, it doubles real well for California, but like when you see their houses and the mall and all that shit, it's all in Arizona. But apparently the main reason they did that was this western town. There was a complete already built western town made for filming movies and TV shows in Arizona, and so that's why. Which is funny because like when you watch this part, it's like such a short part of the movie. But
yeah, this movie does kind of play like the little vignettes, baby. Fucking now they're gonna go here get this historical figure. So yeah, did we even talk about the plot? The plot of the movie.
No, we should talk about it.
The plot of the movie is basically they're going to fail unless they pass their history report. So they decide like we're going to use this time machine that Rufus fucking George Carlin brought us, and we're going to fucking go back in time and get a bunch of historical figures to take them to the future. Even as a kid, I was like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's a really bad idea. This is going to fuck everything up.
Well, yeah, like all the other time travel movies from the 80s were like, if you change one thing, the entire future will be destroyed. And this one's like, no, just like...
This movie doesn't give a shit.
No, it doesn't.
It's just like, yeah, go get them, take them to the future. It's no big deal.
And then, of course, I always love this part, too, where their heads go through the wall. We see all the French whores in there.
That's a fun gag.
Our boy, the Fox, man, he couldn't stop ripping off Bill and Ted because part 3, he went back to the whole old Wild West for the whole movie.
Do you think that was like what they were doing? You think fucking Spielberg or whoever it was? I can't even think of his name.
Yeah, it wasn't Spielberg and Zemeckis. Yeah,
Zemeckis. You think he was watching this movie? He was like, "Fucking Kino." Well, that's what we need to do.
If you think about it, because they shot Back to the Future 2 and 3 back to back. Back to the Future 2, which is like probably the original sequel script they had laying around for years. It's nothing like Bill and Ted. And then part 3, like they just shot it at the end, like shot it back to back just to add it on. Like, oh, we'll do one more. Like, yeah, it's totally just like if this whole sequence right here of Bill and Ted was a whole movie. That's all it was.
That was them basically letting us in on the Illuminati fucking exposed. Like, fucking, we ripped off Bill and Ted, and we're just going to make it very clear for part 3. We actually used the DeLorean, went in time, saw Bill and Ted, and then just fucking ripped it off.
Now here we're going back to ancient times to Athens, Greece, where Socrates lived, or Socrates, as he's also known. And do you think that maybe this is where Nelson Entertainment got their logo from? Like, it looks like where their statue would be.
It does. It does. You know what's funny is as a kid, I I used to say Socrates whenever I'd see it.
Yeah, I would
because
too.
of this movie.
Or he says, "Hey, look him up in the book. It's under Socrates."
Socrates. Fucking Chad.
I think that probably comes from like a real thing of like kids in school, because when you say Socrates, like everything's spelled phonetically, in your mind. Or I don't know if this was how when you went to school, Zach, but they're like sound it out and spell it out. But like if you do that, you can misspell a lot of shit because you don't know kind of sophisticated pronunciation. So like so you just for kids it's just Socrates, and then you spell it perfectly. You know what I mean?
Fucking exactly. Kids really got it all figured out. We actually get stupider as we age.
I actually kind of would agree with that, because I've been having some tough times lately with just figuring some shit out and handling some shit. And I'm just like, I know I used to be smarter than this, but everything I forget. Like, I'm getting to that point where I'm just forgetting shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this actor is, but I always loved the guy who played Socrates.
He's a Chad. That was actually his cock that we saw at the beginning in that logo.
Called the Nelson Entertainment?
Yeah. He was uncircumcised. He was uncircumcised. That was just the foreskin standing up on the top.
Yeah.
Fucking the King Chad, I think.
Oh, big time. I always liked this guy.
He's a cat. He's a king. He's a king, Chad.
I mean, I guess you can't really fake these things. So Dino De Laurentiis' company produced this movie originally, before they sold it off. But they flew all the way to Italy to shoot this, and like obviously this isn't just like out in the middle of nowhere anymore. Like there was a busy city, so like they had a ADR, that whole thing. And there was like traffic going by and all the Italians screaming at them because they were filming, like fucking with them and shit. But like, yeah, I think it's really only that part that they filmed in Italy too. Oh no, I think this part too. I think the castle they did film in Italy as well. But
this movie is half spaghetti. Fucking
spaghetti. You know how they have spaghetti westerns? You have spaghetti stoner comedy.
Hell yeah! Fuck, is that a misconception everybody brings up? Like fucking Bill and Ted, they never mention smoking weed. Fucking, I think they're just airheads.
Yeah, I listened to the writers thing, and they were saying like, yeah, like they were never stoners. It was always the third character, Dan or whatever his name was the stoner. They're just like airhead guys. They're just from the valley.
They were straight edge. They were like, they don't fucks with Dan anymore. Fucking Dan. Mm-mm. He got all hopped up on the weeds.
Dan had a weed problem.
Exactly. That's a 5150 shirt he's wearing.
Yeah.
I never noticed.
And they're all in the straight jackets, all the members of Van Halen.
I never listened to Van Halen.
I did when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Not only through my dad, but also like I remember when MTV was playing like Hot for Teacher and all that shit. And then when 1984 came out, it was huge. But like, yeah, like my dad, like he just totally turned that shit off. Like I think the only album we ever had in the house, I think, was 1984. We might have had like an older one, but I always remember seeing that record album around. But yeah, like you just even if you didn't want to listen to Van Halen back then, Zach, you did, because it was always. But with this, they always say too, when Sammy Hagar like came or whatever. Like I don't know if it was just I always turned the channel when the videos came on, but they were like, oh yeah, his hits were they had way bigger hit albums with Sammy Hagar than David Lee Roth. But like I don't know, like I just remember like Van Halen being on the radio a lot more during the David Lee Roth era. But that could just be my fucking young kid skewed memory.
You know what? I call bullshit as an adult, because they get these suits of armor and they don't immediately masturbate onto each other.
Exactly, because that's what you would do if you're really.
Exactly, like fucking, it's never gonna touch you. Like fucking, you've got nothing to worry about. It's just like being able to fucking completely saran wrap your body. Like, what would you do if you could saran wrap your entire body? You can, but like fucking, assuming like, yeah. I always love the line that we're getting ready to get to.
Yeah.
It's so funny to watch, because it's just like, how the fuck
I
How
know
the
what
fuck
you're gonna
does
say.
watching it from the is that how real suits of armor work? Could you just see their clothes underneath it like that, or was it fucking?
I think so, but you're supposed to be wearing like chainmail and everything underneath.
That's right. That's
But
right.
like your ass is completely exposed. Because if you notice too, like you notice like the leg pieces and everything, like it's stitched in. Like they have to put them on. It's not just something you slip into. You know what I mean?
You can slip out of it pretty easily, though,
Yeah,
as we find out.
yeah. He rolls down and he just when he hits the ground, he just flies out of it.
I fell out of my suit when I hit the floor. That's got to be the dumbest line ever written on, ever filmed, in any movie.
You know what's funny? We never thought anything of it as kids, like whatever. But I remember like that's what happens in the movie because he says it right. So like I actually was like looking very closely at the suits of armor to be like, could you actually fall out of these? And I saw like their legs were all stitched up with like the leather straps to keep the leg. I was like, oh yeah, like this was just some really fake shit.
And if what's funny too is even if I was Bill and I walked in and saw him laying there, I would have known like he's not in that anymore.
Yeah. Well, not only that,
Why
but
was
like
he laying there?
but like how you
knocked out?
said, like there you see your jeans and everything through it. It's just like it's like there'd obviously be giant gaps there compared to how it looked when he was actually wearing it. You know what I mean? Like.
Mm-hmm. He was just laying there like fucking Michael Myers is at the end of Halloween. Like we know he's not in there. We know he's not in that suit.
But this is kind of like yeah, Michael Myers. He just left the mask and the overalls and he ran naked down the street to escape.
That's what he could have done.
He went back into his hospital gown.
And no one would even know.
No, they just be like, oh, this dude, let's get him back to the hospital. He's sick. He's got a cold or something.
They just take his clothes. They get him to the hospital, and he's like, "There's my clothes." He just puts them back on. He's there. I didn't notice the whole time. These are light. These fucking guys are really light. I don't understand.
I always love that line too. You killed Ted, you medieval dickweed. That always stuck in my mind.
Oh yeah. What if he really did die there? Like, how would the movie have continued?
Well, that was like a big thing too during the 80s. Like, you had to fake kill somebody for like 5 minutes. Like how in E.T. they kill E.T. and he's dead, and you're like, oh, and you have to like deal with it for a couple minutes. And they're like, don't worry, like the person's still alive.
It became such a cliche that it's like we knew that he's not dead. Like, why do you even fuck with us like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Here's the thing where he's relieved to see that Ted's still alive, and then they hug, and then they say a word that you couldn't say now.
Exactly. But you couldn't say that now. Fucking basically, it's weird because it was always kind of a joke about homophobia. It was always kind of mocking homophobia. But it's like, yeah, you can't do that now.
I remember when everybody was trying to cancel like everything in the world on Twitter a couple years ago. I remember people bringing this movie up, going, "Well, that was problematic from a time." I'm like, no, it was it was a fucking joke, like.
Exactly.
But yeah, here we meet the princesses, and did you notice our super Stacy, Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead, is one of the princesses.
The sister we all want to fuck.
Exactly.
The sister we all want to fuck. You think she'd be okay with us calling her that? What if can we refer to you, Miss Diane Franklin, as the sister we all wanted to fuck?
Well, it's fun. Like if you, because she does conventions. If you met her at a convention, you could get her to sign.
She probably wouldn't even know the reference. She'd be like, "What the sister we all wanted to fuck?"
But she does conventions. There's probably like 10 guys that bring it up. But I'm pretty sure she married one of the younger De Laurentises, and she probably met him through making this movie. But yeah, like you could like get like a prop yearbook from Amityville High School, and then it's got her picture, and underneath it says "Voted Hottest Sister."
Hell yes. I wonder if she'd even remember the reference. Like, is that even a movie people remember? Probably.
Well, yeah. If you're doing horror conventions and that's like the only horror movie you were ever in, you're going to have to bring those photos of you from it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. See, I would have met her thinking like fucking Bill and Ted, fucking Better Off Dead, fucking nice rhyming scheme to those two movies. I think they take place in the same universe now.
Yeah, if only we could get our boy Savage Steve to direct Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted 4, directed by Savage Steve. I would fucking come so hard.
I know this old dude's probably dead by now, but the guy says, "Put them in the Iron Maiden." Like I always like, you know, like when you're a kid and you just see like lines from trailers like nonstop and they get burned in your head. Like that dude's face and voice is so burned in my fucking brain. It's not even funny.
Exactly. Fucking if we could like you know that you can tattoo people. What if we could like actually start burning images into our eyelids so that every time we close our eyes we see him? I would consider getting him burned into my eyelids.
Oh, that guy for sure.
Or Diane Franklin. Being
Diane
a hot
Franklin.
Stacy sister.
I would get
just close your eyes and jack off.
yeah. I would get like a sexy stylized pinup tattoo like on my bicep of her. And then instead of hot for teacher, it would say hot for sister.
Like fucking like Little Pete from Pete and Pete.
Exactly.
You can make Petunia dance. Did you watch that show?
No.
I was gonna say you're probably out of your age, right?
Yeah,
that was a pretty underrated show.
No, this scene here, and I never noticed any other scenes. I don't know if it's like, but there almost looks like Keanu's got like kind of bleach streaks or like some lightened streaks on the edges of his hair, like when he was laying with his head down to get chopped off. It was weird. Like I didn't notice it in any other scenes.
They came in that was for reshoots, and he had already dyed his hair for he was doing
Private
live,
Idaho or whatever.
Fucking, he was doing Evil Dead 2 musical.
Oh, okay.
He was playing Ash.
You sure it wasn't when he did Brotherhood of Justice? You ever see that one?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Does he have a white streak in his hair? Did someone came on him?
I don't think so. I think he had shorter hair back then.
That's actually what do you think of the Reeves as an actor? Do you think he's just like fucking? Do you think he's a terrible actor, but he got lucky with this role?
No, not at all. I think he's a great actor. And by the way, the trailer for I haven't watched it yet, but the trailer for John Wick 4 came out today, and supposedly people are going fucking nuts. Which I didn't think there was much you could do more with just Keanu Reeves shooting people in the face. but apparently they've changed the game, baby. No, I
liked the first one, okay, and then ever since then it's just like, okay, yeah.
It became a cartoon, right?
It's just the same movie again.
Yeah,
and it is a little over the top too, where all of a sudden there's like a big, fucking. He's basically a hitman from the Hitman games. There's this big cult almost of like people above him or like whatever.
So like, I think you can kind of see his light. They're not bleached. They're like light and streaks, like they had sun in his hair or something. But no, like I actually saw a lot of, like, around the time this came out theatrically on cable or whatever, I was seeing like a lot of his early movies. So like I knew him from River's Edge. There was one I'd have to look up his IMDb to tell you the name of it, but there's a couple early movies that like nobody really ever talks about. Like there's one with what's her name, Lori Loughlin, where it's just like the whole night their prom goes wrong. It's like a big adventure. And then there's another one called the Prince of Pennsylvania, where I think Fred Ward plays his dad or stepdad. So like I kind of like knew him as like a well-rounded actor. I think the problem is like, because everybody's like, all he ever does, every role he just says whoa. That's all Keanu Reeves ever does. And I'm kind of like, that's all like you ever watched. Like if you only ever watched Bill and Ted and then Point Break, where he's like, I am an FBI agent. It's like he's supposed to be like a fucking like dummy quarterback, like football guy pretending to be a surfer guy, and he's in like Southern California. Like
The Replacements, the movie where he played a dummy quarterback guy too. That was a great.
He did. He played another dummy quarterback. So it's like. But speaking of which, I finally got off my ass and I ordered in the last 48 hours. I ordered a couple of more of Reeves classics to add to my library. I upgraded from the DVD of Point Break to the Blu-ray, and I've never owned this film in any format, but I got a rare out-of-print Blu-ray copy of Chain Reaction coming in the mail, baby.
Fucking Chain Reaction with fucking him and who's he co-starring?
Our boy Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, and all I remember is on the back of the box it showed them riding a Harley.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if I ever watched that one. I should have.
I saw it in the theater, and it kind of seemed like a home movie at the time, but I just bought it because I want to see it again. And I mean, it's starring our boy the Reeves, but
oh yeah.
But yeah, like I'm sure it'll be a masterpiece compared to the shit that comes out now. But like no, like I mean, like I don't know, like just like anybody, like I Zach, don't you think every single actor with very few exceptions, has limitations in terms of how much they can change their voice, how much they can change how much they look. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I don't think he fucking. He's just like the guy who's. I don't know if he's a great actor, but he's really likable in pretty much everything
right.
he's done.
I mean, I don't think anybody ever thought John Wayne was a great actor, but they thought he was great at playing himself. You know what I mean? Or a version of himself. Same with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, I take that back because Arnold Schwarzenegger, he could act really. He really showed his acting range in Twins.
Oh yeah, Ricky fucking Junior.
Junior, he like this man gave birth on camera.
Exactly.
First
fucking,
man.
very progressive. Very progressive.
Yeah.
See, then they put the shades on. This is a great scene where they get to the futuristic place and they're listening. I assume they're listening to Wild Stallions. In time we'll be dancing in the streets. Fucking, I want to live in the world where this is real so bad. Where fucking Wild Stallions is the band and fucking like you could just go to a concert, watch them, and Death, fucking bebopping around on stage.
That would be awesome. We got to point out here too. Here's the real Bill and Ted, the writers.
Exactly.
They're playing the waiters at the Ziggy Piggy ice cream restaurant.
Eat the pig, Ziggy, 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 Zig. A fucking Fright Rags put out those shirts for Bill and Ted. I got the fucking Ziggy Piggy, fucking ice cream one, and I think that's the only one I got. And I got the one that's kind of the poster. And I was excited for like the Bogus Journey. I'm gonna buy, fucking can't wait for that one. And then like they put out basically I got one of them because it's like I didn't like two of the designs. I was just like fucking they looked a little too cartoony. Like you should have just kept to the fucking like I want a shirt of the poster artwork. I mean, what's funny is whenever I watch that music video and I like this when they put the pin on him and
yeah, they do. Like this is dumb because this is an ice cream restaurant that sells you giant bowls of ice cream and then makes fun of how fat you are for actually eating it.
Kino. Once I remembered like there is a sequel. I went to the video store. The one, a different one that did have, or I don't remember if I got it from a video store or if I just had to fucking find it somewhere and buy it. But then like once I saw the VHS cover, it was like a flash blast from the past. I remember seeing it all the time as a kid in like my favorite video store, Broadway Video, but I never rented it. And I was just like, fucking, I remember that cover with them. Well, I didn't have to see the cover because at the end of this movie, it shows the paper floating and it shows the VHS cover, and I was like, that's the VHS cover. Fucking, I used to see that all the time. I always thought like, is that like a Sister Act sequel? Is that a Sister Act sequel? Why is Whoopi Goldberg wearing whiteface? That's offensive. And I was like, fucking, yeah, I should have rented it. Like, fucking, it just goes. It's weird. Like when I was a kid, I didn't branch out of things I didn't know very often. Like I rented like the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I rented Friday the 13th movies over and over again. Plenty of stuff I saw that I thought looked interesting, but I was never willing to take a chance.
Yeah, like I mean, I would rent like shit, like random whatever. But I remember too, like I also rented like Transformers the movie, the original cartoon movie. I remember I rented that shit probably 10 times over the years.
The only time I technically found something new and like discovered things was like when my mom rented something like, I got you something I think you'd like, and I'd always be like, I've never even heard of this, but then I'd watch it and I'd be like, this is great.
You'd be like, Mom, how come you just didn't give me something I've seen before?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck my deal was. I probably I'm probably totally autistic. I fear the unfamiliar.
That is I don't want to call it symptom, but a marker of being on the spectrum.
Fucking, I probably am. It makes sense.
Isn't it weird though, like how music based this film is? All the Van Halen shit everywhere, and then Jane
music
Whelan,
based in Red Pilled.
It is, and then Jane Whelan from the Go-Go's plays Joan of Arc here, but there's like
Stacey.
no like super Stacy, even more Stacy now, if that's possible. But isn't it weird?
She should have been in the third one.
Oh, she should have. She should have like been the one that they married or whatever. But but like yeah, like isn't it weird that there's like no like well known bands on the soundtrack to this movie at all?
Fucking, I never noticed. I never noticed it. Yeah, I guess you're right. This is two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
Fucking, the second one they had like fucking like what was it, like Megadeth I think was on there.
Oh, they had. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they had Kiss. They had. Wasn't
Fucking
actually what's it called?
Faith No More
Faith No More was
on.
like in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So they probably did. This is probably one of those ones that came out and was like fucking. I always thought this chick that he like just like takes
He
advantage, like
rapes.
fucking
Yeah.
just basically sexually assaults. I always thought like that chick is super cute. I was like, what a Stacy,
Yeah.
what a Stacy.
And he was like, eating that giant turkey leg, so the way he was kissing her, you can see like all the turkey grease or chicken
Exactly.
grease on her
All,
face.
I thought the grease on her face made her hotter.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
I developed a fetish where I just want to see women eating like a big thing of fucking chicken, like all greasy and nasty, and then just fucking suck your dick or something.
I remember one of the reasons I didn't get to see this in the theater, and like I remember, like even I was kind of like leery of it. I was like, "Oh, this kind of looks dumb from the trailers," you know. But I remember my dad saying like, "Oh, it looks shitty. Like the guy doesn't even look like Abraham Lincoln." And I thought that was such a weird criticism of this movie. But like now when I see it as an adult, I'm like, he doesn't. Like I don't know if it's just me, but I thought that's exactly what Abraham Lincoln looked like.
I mean, he's got the mole. He's
Yeah.
got the mole and the weird beard.
Yeah, and the hair. Yeah. But
And the hat.
I know we're getting into like the time machine's broken. We should really be talking about the plot. But can we go back to Ziggy Piggy for a minute? Because I want to ask your opinion on something.
Oh yeah.
So when they're in the Ziggy Piggy scene, Napoleon and Ted's little brother Deacon, they're trying to keep Napoleon busy while the other guys are flying through time and shit. And they bring in the big giant bowl of like 50 scoops of ice cream. Like I always thought it was weird because it was like orange and purple ice cream, and then they put in like big full size marshmallows just to kind of round out the bowl and kind of fill it up. And I was like, that looks weird. Like that looks more like sherbet or some weird shit than ice cream. Because like when it melts, like they show the bowl on the table being full of like chocolate goo, but you never see any chocolate scoops in there. I always thought that ice cream looked weird. See it in a high def, and like it's like not soft or melted like any of the ice cream at all. I think that, and if you notice too, the actors like it cuts and then they're like scooping the chocolate like goo out, but you never actually see anybody like eat the real ice cream. Baby, I think that ice cream was fucking Play-Doh looking at it in high def.
It might have been like just a prop, yeah, because maybe
So
it
it
was
wouldn't
just like
melt, yeah.
if they were in Arizona too,
Yeah.
it probably would have been like, yeah, we don't want it to melt.
Just in between each take, it would have melted every time.
Yeah. What is your favorite ice cream? Let's talk ice cream, baby.
Let's talk ice cream. It's really hard because it's like I go in phases, and I've had different phases in my life. But I would say cookies and cream was a big deal when I was a kid in the 80s, which that was kind of like the decade of cookies and cream. I don't know if it just came out at that time or what, but that was a hot thing. But
That's my favorite now. That's my favorite.
yeah, I've been getting it again lately, just different places. It's donk.
It just makes me want to fucking drown in a pool of my own cum.
Well, that too. I mean, well, anything like a stiff breeze makes you want to do that. But as an adult, I really got into mint chocolate chip.
See, I've never tried that. Fucking,
What?
I think, for some reason, I remember, I probably tried it because at some point I was like, fucking, I remember thinking it reminded me of like toothpaste or something. And I was
Yeah,
just
like I mean, it just like cookies and cream as well. Each like brand or whatever tastes different, but like yeah, I love mint chocolate chip. Oh,
I used to mention though, fucking, you might as well just get cookies and cream because then if you brush your teeth before you eat cookies and cream, it tastes like mint chocolate chip anyway. It's like you have both in one.
in order to get Eddie Van Halen, we need triumphant video. That's what that joke you just did reminded me of. It was like circling back and circling around and like a snake eating its own tail for no reason.
Okay. What can I say? Everything I know about comedy, I've learned from Bill and Ted.
Exactly. I always thought it's funny, like how they hand out the cans of the chocolate pudding to all the historical figures. Like, why did they buy like 50 cans of it at Circle K? Or like, did they really go through that much of it? Just those two guys?
There's a scene later, like whenever they're giving their history report, like
Everybody's eating it too. Yeah.
there's a shot where people are just eating chocolate pudding for no reason. Apparently, there was a deleted scene where they cut, they mentioned like everybody, you got chocolate pudding underneath your chair, and they fucking it showed like other thems or whatever, like
Yeah, like the keys thing. They went back in time and put chocolate pudding. We missed it a second ago. There was the Geico cavemen were in there. Do you see that, baby?
Hell yes,
Exact same makeup. I know Kevin Yeager made these cavemen. I don't know if he did it for the commercials or not, but it had to been because they look exactly the same.
He fucking did the effects for part 2 also. Bill and Ted 2 is one of my favorite movies ever made. So I'm excited to do that movie on this show. I don't know why it's one of my favorite. It's so weird.
You know what's funny is like the thing that I really love from Bill and Ted Part 2 that nobody like ever mentions about it, never puts on a T-shirt. I love the evil robot ones.
Yeah,
they're like my. I was like, I kind of want them to actually kill Bill and Ted, and then just have the movie be the evil Bill and Ted.
You might as well. It was already a pretty dark. Like, isn't that funny that they're like, we're gonna take this movie where these kids go back in time. We're gonna have a sequel where there's no time travel at all. They're gonna go to hell. They're gonna get killed and go to hell. That's genius.
Speaking of which, I think my only criticism of Bill and Ted 2, and I don't know why this fucker was like the main guy to get for villains, but that Joss Ackland guy, he was like this super old 70-year-old South African guy. He played the bad guy in Bill and Ted 2 and Lethal Weapon 2. He coined well, he didn't coin it, but he said the famous line, "Diplomatic immunity," and then like. Yeah, like, I just don't know why that guy was such an in-demand, like, villainous. Like, would it have been cooler if, like, they would have got somebody, like, young and cool and hip to be the villain in Bill and Ted 2 instead of, like, an old guy, you know what I mean?
To me, the villains of Bill and Ted 2 are just the evil Bill and Ted. I forget that guy exists, kind of.
Which, this is funny, too. Like, I always liked it where the phone booth slams down on the hose and Missy, like, can't figure out why the hose turned off.
Exactly.
But,
this part of the movie is always funny because it's like there's just like 3 or 4 montages back to back.
Yeah.
They get there, they have a montage of them cleaning the house. We're gonna utilize all these historical figures we got to clean the house so that we can go to the mall. And then they get to the mall, there's another montage. That's my favorite montage. Then there's the Waterloo montage. It's just like fucking montages
central. On top of montage. I don't know why, but like in this movie, especially this scene in particular, like, because she also was a B movie actress around this time, but like the lady playing Missy, she reminds me a lot of Tracy Lords in this scene.
Oh yeah, I see it, baby. I see that.
Especially if you see Tracy Lords in Not of This Earth, like it's pretty much they look like sisters.
They should have had them both in the third one.
Yeah. Speaking of the third one, I don't know about you, but, you know, after Bogus Journey kind of didn't do well at the box office, I was really hoping 30 years later I would get a Bill and Ted movie where they would basically get replaced by women. Or female versions of themselves.
I remember people... Was that a big deal when it came out? I remember when it came out, people were like, people liked the movie and they said like, oh yeah, I like that they didn't make it woke. But then like within a couple months, they were like, all of a sudden it got rebranded as like, oh no, it was woke. Did you notice that? I
didn't really notice that. I just noticed that like, I did see people being like, well, it's so cool that they made, Bill and Ted replacements for the next generation. And I'm like, you're telling me that those two girls, fucking Samara Weaving and, our girl Bridget Lundy Payne or whatever, you're telling me they're going to want to go film 3 or 4 more stoner dude, like they're never coming back. Like even if they did a part 4 now, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter would come back, but those two girls would never come back.
I thought the way they tied it up was actually pretty clever. Like, oh yeah, it's not because people. I remember there were a lot of people that were shitting on it because like, oh, they fucking they retconned the entire first movie and second movie because like, oh yeah, they're supposed to be this great band and all this, and it's like technically fucking Rufus says that they bring they unite everybody in universal harmony. So in a way it was like fucking. It was clever that they like just flipped that. It's like, oh no, it wasn't that they were just a great band. It was just like they got everybody to play the song together, and it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's clever. But like, really, the only thing they retconned is the end of the second movie where it shows
Right.
all the newspaper clippings, and really, like that was done in like post production, and it had nothing to do with any of that. Like the writers didn't even know that was getting done. It was kind of a studio thing, I
Well,
guess.
also too, like even this movie though, how it shows them like strumming the shit. Like they're not like old ass men when they're doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. My for me the third one I was like fucking I was so excited. Like I remember when I was a kid I was like I wanted to be a director because I wanted to make Bill and Ted 3 because they're never gonna make it.
Yeah.
Fucking they made Bill and Ted 2 like fucking like 2 or 3 years after the first one. Fucking uh, I was just like I don't think they're ever gonna do a part 3. Fucking one day I'm gonna be a director. I'm gonna fucking do that. I'm gonna make Bill and Ted 3. I'm gonna make Pet Cemetery 3. I'm gonna bring back Eddie Furlong.
Oh boy! Imagine we crossed universes.
Exactly.
Because we are starting the distribution label as soon as we get enough funding for Reeves Furlong Classics.
Exactly. We should just make Pet Cemetery 3 starring Keanu Reeves and Eddie Furlong.
That would be amazing.
Well, the plot could be basically what if he's going back and he's digging up Drew Buddy's fucking body because he wants to like bring him back because he had a question to ask and like we'll just we'll de-age him and put in like a fake little scene that wasn't really in the first movie but we'll pretend like fucking where he asked him a question he's like I'll tell you later and then he died before so he digs him up because he needs to know or something we'll think of something.
Well, dang it, some. No, yeah, I like Bill and Ted 3. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like it's one of those things where it's a shame Disney didn't produce this because they would have done the exact same thing that they basically did.
It does kind of seem like a Disney movie, just
Yeah,
because everything's in front of a green screen. That's
yeah,
what basically like what's so great about I love the second one because it's like fucking they took the first one and did like exactly the opposite, and then like part three kind of just seems like a greatest hits of one and two.
yeah.
Where I was kind of like, I kind of just wish they would have done something we never saw coming. What if the whole movie was just a fucking prison movie? Like they're in prison the whole movie.
Yeah,
Like,
like, and first of all, I never understood like why they had a problem getting a budget or whatever when Keanu and Alex Winter were coming back and all that. It's like, wouldn't the studio like But like, I kind of wish they would have like tailored the movie to the lower budget, like because like I can't remember like the one part, but like the one part where like they go to the one like reality or whatever, where like they're just sad, kind of like guys
mm,
playing that little gig in like that little fucking hole in the wall bar or whatever. I was like,
mm,
I kind of just wanted to see a movie of just them, like not even running around doing shit, just them like being older. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, fucking it felt like what a lot of sequels are doing, where they
Yeah,
just kind of play it safe, and it's like we're gonna kind of do what the other ones did and kind of make it a soft reboot in a way.
yeah. And like I know it sounds like I was shitting on the daughter characters. I actually really like the daughters like a lot. I
I
just
thought
one
they
of those
did good.
things
Yeah, I
where
thought they were fine.
I just wish like the movie would have been the four of them, like
Mm.
or even
See,
the princesses. Like it's stupid to have them still be married to the princesses, but then the princesses don't do anything.
I was hoping that the Blu-ray was gonna like have like a longer like 2 hour version edit where
Yeah.
like the princesses are doing their own adventure and it's kind of like cutting back and forth and we're getting more and then like the fucking like the daughters are kind of like they're having their adventure which is more like Bill and Ted 1 and then the
Hmm.
princesses have theirs and then the fucking Bill and Ted and like yeah then the Blu-ray came out and it was just like there was no fucking deleted scenes or anything. Fuck.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, here's your bare bones shitty Lionsgate thing. But yeah, like I also thought it was lame too that like honestly I know I'm pretty sure the princesses were like always played by different girls in each movie, but like oh
Uh,
like so like, I wasn't mad that they didn't get the original actresses, but I thought it was lame that they had to get actresses that were like 10 to 15 years younger than
They always do
Keanu.
that. They
They-
always. Well, why do they do that?
Yeah, it's just like, dude, but it's like we can handle an older Keanu Reeves. We can handle like the princesses being older women too. You know what I mean? There's lots of Stacy older. I say older. They're not. I mean, they're not older to me, but you know what I mean. Like older than like teenage age or whatever the fuck.
Exactly. Fucking weird double standard. It's a
Yeah.
weird double standard. The men are allowed to be as old. Fucking there's that like thing people talk about where they're like fucking well it makes sense because men get better looking.
Oh God.
This is an objective. People talk about it like fucking beauty isn't like in the
Yeah.
eye of the ball. Like no,
Yeah.
objectively men the wrinkles look good on men. It's like dude
Yeah.
that's not true. Like
No.
basically we assume men look better because like fucking women say that men look better. We
Yeah.
say for some reason men have decided that fucking like women hit a wall when they turn 30, which is
Yeah.
really
That's so
fucked up.
ridiculous. No, it's like it's not like it's like I mean not like I'm crying over it every night, but I know for a fact I looked a lot fucking better 20 years ago than I do now.
Fucking objectively, men do not look better older.
No.
Fucking old people don't look better than young people. It's just that women are more accepting of men.
Yeah,
when
they're
they
not
get
as
older.
shallow. They don't get mad at you for aging.
It's pretty shitty.
It is
We
very
got
shitty.
Let's sing another song, boys. This one's growing old and bitter.
Who
Ano-
says that?
Another Leonard Cohen reference. But
Okay.
the first Leonard Cohen reference wasn't even recorded. That was before we started recording.
Yeah, it was before we started recording.
This is my favorite.
Jonah work.
Yeah, fucking. I remember I never heard this song until watching this fucking. I forget what it's called, but it's got this crazy
Yeah,
guitar.
it's a modern
solo.
interpretation of Mozart. Yeah.
Do you wanna play?
By the way, I love how they took like a conqueror, murderer, rapist, Genghis Khan, and made him into a lovable cartoon style character for this movie.
This is like the most violent. He's got a baseball bat and he hits the fucking mannequin's head off.
Yeah.
I always love that scene because it's the most close to what Genghis Khan in the modern day would really be like, with a fucking baseball bat.
Well, what's funny too is like the real version would be he would like knock the head off the baseball bat, and then he would knock the heads off the security guards trying to stop him.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing this though, and I was like, I thought fucking Beethoven was playing like he's got these new modern. The scene we're watching is where they're in the mall, and basically Joan of Arc is fucking doing the calisthenics or whatever it's called. Fucking Beethoven's like
Yeah.
fucking around on the
Aerobics.
newer keyboards with the fucking all the updated synthesizers.
Modulation,
Fucking,
yeah.
exactly. So
Wait-
they're causing havoc before they get thrown in jail for the third act.
Which is weird too, because like I get all the other modern figures because they basically interrupt shit and cause trouble, but Beethoven gets dragged away because he's like playing keyboards really well and bringing a huge crowd to this music store.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Maybe it's just because he's one of them. It's like
Yeah.
he's guilty by association.
Yeah,
It's like you look like you fucking came in with those weirdos that are dressed up funny.
by the way, like usually I don't nitpick shit like this in movies, but like
I never noticed that they actually gave him a fucking sign that said Socrates on it.
yeah, so great.
Socrates. I said Socrates by accident. I unironically.
But I like how like the whole movie Missy's driving around in like a Ford Mustang LX convertible, being cool, and then when the plot needs it, because they need to get all the historical figures in one car, all of a sudden she has a spare station wagon she can drive around.
I always liked this scene too. For some reason, this scene was like really memorable as a kid. It's like, oh yeah, it's fucking interesting, but it's like it's very half baked when you watch it
Yeah.
now. And even the writers talk about how half baked when they talk about it. They're like they were talking about how like when they were shooting the end, like whenever like the fucking whenever they're doing their book report and shit, it's like they were talking about like how why didn't they shoot some scenes where like it showed the people using like controlling the lights were like Bill and Ted, like just
Yeah.
like them going back and helping out their older selves, but like they just didn't have the time. And apparently that happened basically with every fucking movie because COVID fucked up reshoots for the third one too.
Yeah, COVID just I don't know, man. There's so many movies that because what was the other movie too? There was just a movie I watched the other day. It was like another like, oh, we waited so long to do this sequel, and then when we did it, like we fucked it up because of COVID, so there couldn't be anybody there.
Mm-hmm.
But
What if like all those years I was waiting for fucking Bill and Ted 3 to happen, COVID like really fucked it up. It really, like, it could have, like, they were talking about like they had like reshoots ready to do, but then they just had to edit the movie without the reshoot. They wanted to do more with like
Yeah.
the third act and kind of like have more scenes of them. Apparently, in an early version of the script, the third movie was going to like be a Christmas movie. It was going to take place around Christmas. And then
Yeah.
whenever they're thinking that they're brainstorming on how they're gonna like, how can we get fucking instruments to all these people in one night? And they're like, I don't know, Ted, but I know someone who can. And fucking Santa Claus shows.
That would be fucking awesome.
That would have been fucking hilarious. That would have been funny. It would have worked. But in a way, there's a part of me that's just like, oh, I'm glad they didn't, because there's another part of 3 that was a Christmas movie, Friday After Next, and that's a turd. That's a turd.
Friday After Next is a turd, you think?
Friday After Next. I never liked it as much as the first two.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's the between Friday and Friday 2, like there's a huge drop off, but I didn't think there was much like that big of a drop off between 2 and 3. Although there is a drop off for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it now.
Yeah, this really is the Marty McFly. Like Zemeckis is a plagiarist thief, man. Like Back to the Future 2, how he's sneaking through the high school dance and he's seeing himself play. And they took that off of Bill and Ted having to hide the keys. Just the only difference is they don't. This film is so expertly made. They don't bore you by showing Bill and Ted sneaking around in the background nonstop.
What's so funny too is I actually I saw Back to the Future 2 after I saw Bill and Ted, because like I never knew Back to the Future had any sequels. Like, because my dad loved Back to the Future and he got me into it. And he never told me there were sequels. He just had the first one. Fucking, I watched it all the time. When I found out there was a Back to the Future 2, I was like, holy shit, fucking, I have to see this. And then there was a part 3. I think I heard so much about part 3 not being good, like, because everybody was just like, fucking, Back to the Future 3 is bad. And it was probably mostly just because it was like a Western.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed like, oh, people talk about the sequels being bad. But then when I watched part 2, I was like, how the fuck? When I first saw Back to the Future Part 2, I thought it was better than the first one. Like now, I think the first one's the best now. But,
yeah. But at the time when
kid,
you're a kid and you see Back to the Future 2 and they go to whatever year it is, 2015 or whatever, like that shit's awesome.
So futuristic. Will we ever make it to 2015?
Apparently not, because all that dank ass shit in there. Like,
isn't it like isn't that so cute that we thought the future was going to be so much cooler?
I really don't think anybody thought that for that particular movie. I think it was just like, let's make something cool. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
But this has nothing to do with it. By the way, I love the Mohawk guy getting arrested. He's just sitting there smoking a cigarette in the middle of the police station. But that's how 80s this movie is. But I'm so old. I remember the day I went to see Back to the Future, because like this is how like not in the internet age I grew up in. So like my dad was always off Wednesdays and Thursdays, right? And we would always drive around. Like my dad would take the movie time section from the paper. We get the paper every Sunday, pretty much just to get the movie times, honestly, because I don't remember anybody really reading it. And because unless you wanted to call a movie theater and listen to the recording, that was like the only way to get the movie time. So like we would drive around on his off days with the movie section with the times in the back seat. And like whatever we would go do, like if we were going shopping or going to eat or something, and then you would have the paper and it would tell you all the theaters on the times, and it would be kind of like, oh, like what closest theater has it playing next. And like I remember like me, my mom, and my dad went out to eat, and then after we ate, we got in the car and we looked at the paper like, oh, so and so has it playing at this time, and we went to it. And it's just like, I remember watching that movie, and then like by the time it came out on video, by that time everybody had seen it, and everybody was taping it off HBO and shit, and rewatching it over and over with my friends. And when they tease the fucking end, that Back to the Future 2 is basically coming, whatever it was, that 3-4 year like block of time. Oh my god, it was just like, because 2 years later, you're like, oh, I guess they're never fucking making it. That sucks. Well, how come they never make it? It was such a big hit. And it was like, when there finally word came down the pike that Back to the Future 2 was coming, like fucking all the kids my age, man, we were just coming hands free like all day, every day. Like you couldn't even believe that. And I'd say Terminator 2 were like the sequels that were like, holy shit, I can't believe what a time to be alive. Like we're only alive for 100 years or so on this tiny speck of dirt, flying through the universe, but we were alive when Back to the Future 2 came out.
And Terminator 2. It's kind of funny when you think about it, because we're so early in, like, in a way, we're in the infancy of cinema. Like, there's so much stuff that's going to be made long after we're gone. But, like, I'm fine being alive whenever fucking Terminator 2 and...
Yeah.
and
because there's never like today, the biggest sequel of this decade is coming out, Wakanda Forever. But is it really going to be that big of a deal? Is it really going to be that great? You know what I mean? I hope it is, but I mean, come on.
It'll never live. What are they going to do? Didn't the guy that played the character die? Are they just going to recast him?
I don't want to say any spoilers, but I did hear what they did. But no, they didn't recast him. The character is just, he died in real life, so he died in the universe or whatever. So after we're done recording, I'll tell you how they killed him off, and you'll laugh. But
I can just imagine.
Yeah.
I guess it's more respectful than just deep faking him through another franchise of movies.
Well, all I gotta say is it's Disney being Disney. It's the only way they know how to make a movie in 2022. So that's what they did. But yeah, we need to talk about... I feel like we're jipping the audience, man. I was so excited to do Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and we hardly talked about the movie. But it's like we're just sitting here talking.
I think we did.
I'm just watching the movie, man. It's so good.
Fucking, you can't like watch a time travel movie and not bring up other time travel movies. It's like a rule.
It's the
you
paradox.
got to almost.
But yeah, I was like watching all the like behind the scenes shit today while I was working, and like they were saying that the original ending that they started to shoot and they just like stopped and they called the studio and they're like, hey, we need more time and money, because originally it was like they just came into the classroom with all the people and they all came in and Bill and Ted just sat on the desk like, yeah, look at how awesome we are. And like even the gussied up version where they're like participating, they're like, oh, we got to rewrite it so Bill and Ted are actually like part of the presentation and make it grander, make it this big stage show. But like even if you would have brought the real Socrates, and like supposedly the teacher was going to be like, where'd you get these actors? And like, oh, they're not actors. They're like, oh yeah, whatever, like whatever. But even if you like brought these people in, isn't it just like you got like 10 people to come do your report for you?
That's what I always thought as a kid too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, in real life they would have just been like, his teacher would have been like, fucking, they're even saying things like Bill and Ted would. They're fucking saying salad dressing dude and shit, like jokes like that. Like they would have gotten an F, but it's just like in the movie it's just like, whatever, I'll give it an A. It's like there's something so fun and whimsical and positive about these characters. It's fun.
That's probably my favorite joke from the movie, is early on when the teacher tells them that if they fail they're going to flunk, and he says you've been here all semester, all year, and he says, so basically all you've learned that Caesar was a salad dressing dude.
Exactly. Noah's wife. That's my favorite.
Yeah, Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc.
So like this is crazy on the behind the scenes, baby. See the weapon that Genghis Khan has? Mm-hmm. Originally he was supposed to be swinging around that club, which was just like a fake rubber club that they made for the movie. And the guy was like, because they're shooting in Phoenix, and the guy was like, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm a real martial artist. I can do like some impressive visual moves, but I need a different weapon. He's like, I got the perfect weapon back in my house in Los Angeles. So they paid for him to fly back to Los Angeles, get that spear thing, and fly back.
What a king. What a king. You know what I just realized, too? Fucking Joan of Arc is in this movie. The fucking Leonard Cohen had a song called Joan of Arc.
He did.
It was the final track on Songs of Love and Hate, Kino. Fucking,
what's the correlation between Leonard Cohen and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Fucking, I forgot. I forgot.
I couldn't figure it out.
they're eating the right
pudding.
there. They're eating the pudding. Eat the pudding.
Which, like, because you said they cut those scenes out, were showing that they put the pudding under the chair. So, like, you're just supposed to believe that every kid in San Dimas eats that pudding.
Exactly. That's good. What's the best pudding? I don't even know if I've eaten pudding. I probably haven't eaten pudding since I was a kid. Actually,
I actually had to eat it a couple months ago a lot when I got my tonsils out, believe it or not. But
that dude, when he was doing that like little jig with the fucking
spoon.
with the spoon, he had Miguel Nunez Jr. vibes.
He did very strongly.
Something about like it looked just like Miguel Nunez Jr. when he's like when they're in that scene in the fucking Return of the Living Dead where the fucking half torso lady and shit.
Oh, okay. I was actually going to go with Demon from Friday the 13th Part 5 when he says, "Damn, I got a shit because of the enchiladas."
Oh yes, what a king.
You know, I heard somebody say a story that they went to meet him and get his autograph at a convention. And he was just sitting at the desk bored on his phone. He didn't care.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I really like, yeah. But
you think he should have been? I think he should have been more excited to meet that motherfucker.
So you're telling me, at whatever convention in the middle of nowhere, the star Juana Man should have been more excited?
That's kind of. I remember when I used to listen to their show and they used to talk about some of their negative experiences with guests. I was like, this doesn't sound that negative. It just sounds like they're a person.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't wait hand and foot on you for a second.
It's so funny. Talk about a random thing. I can't believe you actually knew what I was talking about.
They talked about him like he was just the biggest asshole, and it's like all he did was look at his phone.
I feel like this was the biggest cum shot of the trailer where Abraham Lincoln goes, "Party on, dudes."
Oh, yes. He says...
Like, why does he even put his arms up like that?
If I'm ever president... Look how his hands look there.
I know. It's like the Slender Man or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, he had like fucking Coffin Joe vibes with that top hat on.
Coffin Joe presents the history of America.
Someone needs to Photoshop his fucking nails real long.
Did you know apparently it's like a big cult thing when the football player guy, when he was giving his speech and he screams San Dimas high school football rules because he gets nervous? That's like a big cult line that people say from this movie. I always did remember it as a kid for some reason. I don't know why.
Is San Dimas a real place?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
I want to say they basically changed or they took a real place and just changed a couple letters to make it San Dimas. I forgot. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
I'll look it up, but I always thought it was a real place, and I live in California. I should know. Yeah, dude, it's in the San Gabriel Valley.
Oh, okay.
See, I lived in the San Fernando Valley, so.
See, I'd like to see the original. Cause a lot of stuff was cut out of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a magazine that came out around the time. It's kind of like a Fangoria. It might have been Fangoria, where they actually showed like scenes that ended up getting cut from the movie. A lot of stuff in hell. And there was like fucking. They had to redo the third act for that movie too, because they originally had the all the monsters from hell like come into the real world and started chasing them as they're trying to get to the Battle of the Bands.
That would be awesome. It's like, I remember a time when their movies were actually popular, not like now where they're not popular. But I remember a time there was like so many movie magazines besides Fangoria. There was Starlog, Cinefantastique, like Premiere.
It could have been one of those too.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think it was Fangoria because I think I had a bunch of issues where they talked about it, and they showed a lot of the station creatures, and then for some reason they would always put pictures of hell in there, even though it's just a guy painted white.
Oh yeah.
Baby, did you know about the scene that was supposed to come after this? Like, this is like technically the last scene of the movie, but originally there was going to be another one where they were at the prom with the princesses. They even shot it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's that picture where they have like tuxedos that they cut the legs off of.
Hell yeah. Fucking Diane Franklin, Big Stacy.
In this scene, the way they made her hair up, like, amazing.
What a Stacey.
I like how
How
too they were like, and Rufus gave us credit cards. Like, who's paying the bills on those credit cards?
Fucking all the people in that cool place with the fucking the guy from fucking Bob Seger. Bob
2040
Seger.
Bob Seger. Back in 2040. Did you notice on the print, baby, when they hold like the CD thing, it's just like held together by like tape and shit, and there's actually like a dirt scratch over his fingernail, like from the print where they composited all that together.
I just noticed the hand for the first time. I swear, I've always just noticed the album cover, but now I notice how steady he was keeping his hand there.
Yeah. For them to,
That's
rotoscope that shit onto there.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think it was really the Keanu's hand? The Keanu's?
No, not at all.
Probably not. Yeah.
Didn't look like his hand.
Didn't look like the fucking. I know his hand.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it plenty of times.
I know you, dude.
Oh yeah. Underrated Keanu fucking classic. I Love You to Death. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't think so.
Fucking black comedy. Fucking where Chris Klein, I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking they put brown face on him and he plays an Italian guy.
Really?
And I don't remember if they put brown face. I'm being trying to be funny here. Trying to be funny. But like fucking he shows up in the movie. He basically it's about a lady that finds out her husband's cheating on her and she decides she wants to kill him. And so she hires
Chris Klein, Kevin
drunkards.
Klein, baby.
Oh yeah. She hires two drunk guys from the bar, and he's one of them. He's basically playing Ted, but he's got like a shaved head or something.
Oh shit, I have seen this like way back on video. Yeah, because it's Tracy Ullman. She wants to get rid. Yeah, Kevin Klein acts like a super Guido guy.
Hell yeah, and fucking Phoebe Cates has an uncredited cameo. Big Stacey.
Dang, I gotta see this guy. I'm looking at the poster. They don't even have Keanu on the poster.
Exactly. I don't think it's on Blu-ray. I have it on Vudu.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think anybody ever came out with it, but I want to see that movie. It was always on cable on HD, but I never seen it like for sale. That I think it's called The Prince of Pennsylvania, where Keanu, he's like a high school dropout who's shacking up with this older woman who runs like basically like a Dairy Queen like ice cream stand. It's really weird.
What a fucking Chad. That's the life.
I know.
He gets all the free ice cream he wants, I bet.
Yeah. I think there's even like a scene where like he's sleeping in like the little booth, like the Dairy Whip booth or whatever the fuck it is.
Fucking king.
Baby, we can't forget the legendary actor that was almost in this film.
Who was that?
He lost the role to, I think, Keanu, or maybe it was Alex Winter, but
yeah.
Our boy Paul Montgomery Shore.
Pauly Shore was gonna be.
And if you hear him tell the story to Bert Kreischer on YouTube, like I did today, he claims Bill and Ted was based on him, baby.
Fucking what a Chad! What a Chad! Yeah. Did you see the audition footage where he's with?
A while back, I did. Yeah.
I think they made the right choice.
Well, there's also the weird thing too that like Keanu and Alex Winter auditioned for months before they officially gave him the job off and on. But when they auditioned, they were always playing the opposite roles. And then it was like, so when they cast him in the movie, they're like, okay, yeah, Keanu was like, I'll play Bill. You know, I guess I'm playing Bill. And Alex Winter was like, I guess I'm playing Ted. But like they had actually cast them in opposite roles of what they had auditioned for. So they were confused when they got the movie of who they were playing.
Fucking what if he would have played Bill? What if that would have became the architect? Like now they couldn't have said he was only in movies where he says whoa.
Yeah.
If he would have been Bill. Unless like he would have just like fucking played Bill more like Ted. Because it's just him. Well,
what would have happened to Keanu if it was Pauly Shore? Like he would have just like, I would think Keanu would have still made it big eventually, but he just wouldn't. It would have took him a couple more years. Because even after Bill and Ted was one of those like weird things where it was like, you know how like you get famous in a horror movie, but like Hollywood still doesn't respect you. I still like Keanu still had to work his way up because it wasn't like after Bill and Ted, Keanu just starts like Keanu was already starring in like teen role movies where it's like nobody was really a star in the movie. But, like, yeah, it wasn't like studios were giving Keanu leads after Bill and Ted's. It was like, shit, Speed came out, 5 years after? It's 5 or 6 years after,
I love Point Break because I love the ending scene because that was a reshoot, the ending scene, and
Mm-hmm.
fucking basically they shot that. Well, he literally just came. He left the set for Bill and Ted Bogus Journey and to do the reshoots. And he's literally just he's Ted and he's
Yeah.
Via con Diaz. Fucking like
Vicon Diaz.
what a king, what a king.
And I like how the cops run up and they're like, what are you doing? You gotta arrest this guy. He's not coming back. Brody!
Fucking such a Kino film. Such a Kino film.
I actually really like the ending to Point Break, and I guess we probably should save this for when we do it eventually, but like on another edition of Reeves Classics. But I actually really like the ending because like in reality, like in the film, it's supposed to take some place like some months later, and it's like obviously it was a reshoot, so like it actually works that like his hair is different and like you know what I mean, like it feels like some time has passed.
He was on his fucking Ted Theodore Logan vibes.
Exactly. Scenes from War and Peace, courtesy of Paramount Pictures. Yeah, that was the Napoleon shit back in Waterloo when they were fighting. They had to just use stock footage for that. Even as a kid, I noticed that was stock footage, but well, it had a charm to it. But no, like watching this again, and it's like it sounds silly to say this because I've watched this movie so many times as a kid on VHS, and I always loved it. Like it was always like, oh, this movie's way better than it even gets credit for. But it's like watching it now as a fucking old grown ass adult, it's just like this movie's like so well made. It's so charming. It's so joyful. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah. Fucking Stephen Herrick, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they made the right call with the casting too, but like it kind of was creeping in my mind a little bit. I got to be honest. That like, oh, wouldn't it have been cool if Paulie would have been like the younger brother, like that way he still could have been in it. You know what I mean?
Just fucking, he's literally just as old as Ted, if not a little older, but just dress him up like a child. He's hanging out with like,
well, yeah,
just keep the friends of the little brother the same age. Just have an adult Paulie.
Which we didn't talk about Deacon a lot, but like, yeah, he was a young Chad because he was there. Those two little grade school girls always following him around.
He must have just had dick for days.
Exactly, because this is the first time I noticed it too. The scene where Bill and Ted go to the baseball field to talk to him and be like, "What'd you do with Napoleon?" And he's like, "Oh, he's a dick. We got rid of him." Like if you like, I didn't notice it, but off to the side of the baseball field, there's like a picnic bench, and there's like those two girls are there, like waiting for Deacon. I'm just like, damn, like he had both these girls like enslaved.
Do you think Deacon was just like a gay boy? He could have been a gay boy. They could have just been friends.
No, I think he was like the little brother in Better Off Dead when they open the door and he's like the 12-year-old boy's like surrounded by all the hookers and shit. I think he was more like that.
What a king. What a king.
Yeah. He probably just no, never mind. Go ahead.
Did you know any kids like that in school? Fucking
like what?
Just always hung out with like Stacy's.
Not really, not at all.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like, I mean, I kind of went to probably a different type of school than most people. Like, I mean, it was a regular public school, but like where I lived, it was like 10 miles. Like it was rural, so it was like kind of everybody was like from around like the radius of space. So like until really you got to like junior, senior high, nobody had a car. So it's like a lot of times like you would only really see the kids that you knew from school that lived in your neighborhood. So like there really wasn't like guys and girls hanging out all the time. Like I'm sure if somebody like lived in a city and stuff, they probably would meet up with friends at the mall and shit. But yeah, I didn't really grow up like that, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Look at the movies lied to us.
They did lie to us because in the movies everything's like within walking distance, and it's like some shit where like everybody's like hanging out all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fucking, it's a beautiful thing, really. It's a beautiful thing when it all comes down to it.
It is. So do you have any parting words for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Fucking Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This movie was a big part of my childhood, baby. Fucking it's for some reason I love the fucking characters Bill and Ted. Like if it was up to me, they would have made like 80 fucking Bill and Ted movies.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't meant to be.
I mean, honestly, like Bill and Ted Face the Music is cool and stuff. But like how they made one like really, because I mean, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure took a couple years to get released after they shot it. I think a year and a half, if not 2 years. So like they really made like an '80s Bill and Ted, and then like with the Bogus Journey it was like early '90s, like I think maybe even '90 itself. So it's like I always thought they missed the opportunity by like not making like the early 2000s Bill and Ted movie. You know what I mean? Or like they still would have been like youngish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. In an alternate reality, what could have been, baby?
Baby, what is it with the what do you call it? The MCU de-aging shit where they turn everybody young for the superhero movies? Maybe we can do it.
They could. They could. Fucking. They did that for a commercial, didn't they?
With Bill and Ted or somebody else?
Wasn't there a Bill and Ted, or no, Bill and Ted? At least Alex Winter, DA, showed up in a commercial or something.
I don't remember that.
Around the time the third movie was coming out, like a Super Bowl halftime fucking commercial type of thing, I want to say. Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard with him. He hasn't changed much at all.
Maybe they were referenced in fucking Ready Player One or something.
That could be, yeah. Yeah, but it's weird, like, you know, and unfortunately, I think there was, like, for years, there was kind of the sentiment from people like me and you that, like, oh, if you make a third movie, like, we'll all come to the theater and we'll all see it, and then it gets released on, what do you call it, like, $20 premium VOD, because they're like, oh, it's a cheap movie, we'll just, you know, because COVID fucked everything, we'll just throw it out just so something new is coming out, you know, and it's just like, yeah, like, and I'm sure...
It was actually in the theater in my small town, and I didn't notice until, like, the day after it was, like, the last day it played.
Yeah, I think here, if I'm remembering the time frame correctly, we actually had our theaters, like, shut down by the state for 8 months. So I'm pretty sure it came, like, during that time. So, like, yeah, I had no chance to see it in a theater. So it was like, I was like, oh, do I, like, whatever, pay $20? I was like, I'll just wait till Netflix has the Blu-ray and have them send it to me. It was good. I liked it, but you know, again, it's when you make a sequel. I'll put it this way: when you make a sequel to classic films in the modern Disney era of filmmaking, it's never going to feel quite right. I don't think.
Yeah. It was like I was watching it. I was like, this seems like a DVD extra on a Blu-ray. Yeah. For some reason, like. The look of shot on digital, especially when it's a sequel to a movie that were shot on film, it's just like all of a sudden you're seeing these characters, and it's such a weird. It's very jarring in a way.
Isn't it weird that there's some people though, and like I don't know if you run into this, but I run into it because I go to a lot of like movie forums and Blu-ray forums and shit. There's like people, and thankfully it's kind of starting to turn around. But there was like a long period of time during the Blu-ray era where people are like, I really hate watching movies shot on film. It's so grainy and blah blah blah. And then like anything that would come out that was shot on digital and just looked clear and bland, they're like, oh, 10 out of 10 rating on the video. It's so clear. I'm just like, when did like ever in the course of movies shit looking clear meant it looks cinematic or good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the opposite, dude.
Like when I was a kid, fucking going to see movies, like. And I didn't even like really in my head like put it two and two together. What was that? But like if you watch old shit, Zach, like besides obviously like film grain and stuff, but if you watch stuff like Tony Scott's True Romance, they were blowing so much smoke in the scenes just so then the lights could like you can see like the rays of sunlight and shit. You know what I mean? Like there was such a like a look of like not wanting shit to look clear, giving shit visual texture the way it looked, making lighting. That's another thing too with digital is like lighting does not show up the way it used to. Like it really kind of sucks. But
it was all about making movies look better than real life.
Oh yeah.
Now it's just like fucking. We want to make it look fucking clear, and yeah, I don't get it.
Because you need, when you sit in a theater seat and look on the screen, you need to see something looking the way it would in real life if you shot it through your iPhone.
I'm surprised they haven't like just gotten like we're gonna keep the colors natural. We're not even gonna fucking color correct.
Yeah.
Apparently that was a big thing with that Rob Zombie's The Monsters. Apparently the colors look really bad in it because they thought the movie was gonna be black and white, so they weren't actually color correcting anything. so the colors look like they weren't even like like they never had any intention of even being in the movie. Like,
No, I think that's a rumor because he even said like they immediately the studio immediately shot it down the black and white. But one thing I will say, the trailer that they released like had like no post production on it. Like the sound was bad and the visuals weren't finished. Like when you actually watch the movie, and I've only watched it on Netflix, but even on there you can tell. Like there's like film grain, like fake film grain added to it, and like the lighting like kind of gets a more of a kind of color graded. Like it's still like a way over the top comic book style candy color lighting, but like it looks way different than it did in that shitty trailer. But the good thing is nowadays is you can watch a 2.5 minute trailer and then you can write like an 8-paragraph review of the entire film, and that's all you need.
Exactly.
So yeah, recently on your other podcast, Kane Gang, you guys did an awesome episode where you talk about killer clowns from outer space, baby.
Fucking the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We talked about our idea for the sequel, Killer Pedophile Clowns from Outer Space, because they don't tap into that market. The pedophile clowns, that shit's scary. Fucking Gacy. Why don't they fucking tap into the pedophile clown market? I want to make fucking horror movies about pedophile clowns. So fucking the second movie is gonna be Killer Pedophile Clowns from Outer Space.
Well, for sure, pedophile clowns are scary. I'll give you that. But were you one of those people, baby, that was just always afraid of any clown, no matter what, even like a happy clown at circus?
I don't think so. I don't remember that being.
I never was. Like, I just think all these people that are always scared of any clown, I think they're kind of like weak, honestly, just because like I don't know.
Fucking weak beta boys.
They are, because like when I was a kid, my dad would take me to Ringling Brothers Circus like every year, man. The clowns would come out. I thought they were cool.
They call it their right. I call it their weakness.
Exactly. But yeah, but that's it. So you'll come back and we'll do Bogus Journey eventually, right?
Hell yes. Fucking I am counting down the days.
Any other Reeves classics that you feel like you need to be commented on at some point?
Fucking, I could do I Love You to Death.
Yeah, I need to see that again. I actually
Phoebe
do remember
Cates
that movie.
and the Reeves in the movie. Fucking Stacy.
For sure. You know what Reeves classic I'm actually dying to do?
What, baby?
Baby, you ever see The Watcher with Reeves as a serial killer? I love that movie.
Do you really?
I love it, dude. I got the I first had it on HD DVD, and then I got the Blu-ray. It took years later for it to come out on Blu-ray, but yeah, I got the Blu-ray. I like it.
I remember everybody talking about how much they hate that movie. Do you like it ironically, or?
I mean, it's a generic serial killer movie, but do you know the story behind it at all?
Not much.
So our boy the Reeves, I don't know who the guy was, like I don't know his name, but there was a guy that was he knew his friend that was going to produce a low budget movie or whatever.
Oh yeah, I think I heard of that. Yeah.
And he signed a contract on a napkin, and then like, you know, like they're like putting the movie together and like, yeah, my friend Keanu is going to be in it. And they're like, okay, we'll give you the money because Keanu Reeves is going to be in it. So they like took the movie and they fired like his friend. So Keanu was like, well, I'm not going to do the movie if my friend's not producing it or writing it or whatever he was going to do. And they're like, oh, we have a contract, sir. We have this napkin. So when you watch the movie, like 3/4 of the scene, like Keanu does all the dialogue scenes and everything for his character. And he's a serial killer that they're after. So he's just naturally, he's not like the star of the film. Like he just pops up from time to time to kill a girl and then he disappears, and then James Spader's like the burnout FBI guy chasing after him or whatever. But like 3/4 of the time, like during the action scenes where they're chasing him and like through alleyways and shit, it's like not Keanu Reeves. It's like the most obvious double ever.
That sounds awesome.
But it's just like it's one of those things, like, I see what's shitty with it. Oh, and baby, at the end, or during the final showdown, the Reeves takes out I'm ruining it all. I should just wait for we do the episode. But he brings out a boombox, and he plays like a dance remix of Rob Zombie's Dragula.
I remember that.
And he starts dancing around, and he puts, like, his fingers up like little horns on his head. It's fucking awesome.
I remember that.
It's so good. It's
I
so
remember
good.
I don't. I remember people were bringing up that like it clearly isn't the same song that he was dancing to
Yeah.
on set because it doesn't really match that much or something.
But despite all that, I mean, the only thing that I genuinely like don't like in the movie is I don't like all the times that you can tell it's not Keanu Reeves. Because even in the theater, I was kind of like, "Whoa, wait, who's that? That's not Keanu." But like, if he just was like actually just in it full time, like I would fucking be all over it. And then like everybody's like, "Oh, he was miscast. He was miscast." It's like, I don't know. Like I kind of would even go for another serial killer movie with Keanu Reeves in it because it's just like it's interesting because you don't expect it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like it. But yeah, I guess that's it. We just want to say thanks for listening, everybody. You know, we I don't know, like it's been an interesting year of not really film. I wouldn't say that, but podcasting. We've done a lot of fun episodes, and you know, I can't wait to do more.
Me too, baby.
I know. Hopefully, when you're not as busy with school, then we can really run down the entire Eddie Furlong filmography. Yeah. I want to do that one. Remember that clip I sent you where he went through the drive-thru at the burger place? I think the name of the movie is Jimmy and Judy. I was watching it. I bootlegged a clip of it on my cell phone and sent it to you, Zach, where he starts humping his hamburger and he takes the pickles off and he rubs them on his nipples in the car.
Oh yeah, that's fucking incredible. Kino.
If that's not Kino, I don't know what is. So
exactly.
So yeah, so we're gonna giggle, and then as soon as we hit recording, I'm gonna tell Zach what happened to T'Challa. But for you guys, I hope you guys have a great holiday season. You know, just like when September 1st strikes, it's like Halloween season. Well, now that November 1st is coming past, now it's like holiday season. So hope you guys listen to this episode and find yourself in good spirits. And I can hardly finish this with a straight face, but like, yeah. But as always, Zach, I want to thank you so much for, because we've actually been talking about doing this episode for like over a year, and it just, and we're just like, yeah, we'll do it, and then we always do other stuff. But I'm glad we did it, and we still have 2 more Bill and Ted movies to discuss, even though we kind of discussed them more than we discussed even Excellent Adventure tonight. But that's the way it goes.
I think you're wrong, baby. I think we talked about it. Okay. I think we talked about it just enough. You're always worried that we didn't talk about the movie. You know? I kind of am too these days. Yeah.
I would actually delete this file and make us re-record it all over again, though, if we went the entire way and we didn't mention Paul Montgomery Shore was almost in it.
Exactly. That's the only fucking thing you need to know.
Exactly.
Really.
Because he said on the interview, he said, like, yeah, I didn't get the movie, but that's what got me all my MTV shows and stuff. And I'm like, what? Did they just, like, send your casting tape to MTV? Like, the way he told the story didn't make any sense. But
he failed upwards. He really lost this job, but then he got a worse job.
He got more jobs, yeah. But anyway, thanks again, Zach, and obviously we'll do something again soon. Everybody, thanks for going. I know I always ramble on the outro, but it's always hard to stop the fun and go back to boring everyday life, ain't it, Zach?
It is. Oh, yeah.
Exact. So everybody, until next time, we'll catch you right back here in the movie graveyard.
Dog.
I try and play summer leagues, winter leagues, whenever I can.
Yeah, you know, a hockey movie that I
play goal.
The Wall. You know, a hockey movie that I really enjoyed was Youngblood with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. How important were your hockey skills in getting that film?
Seminal.
Now, didn't you have the distinction of killing Charles Bronson?
Yes, I shot him in the head with a .357 Magnum.
And what did you learn from that veteran actor doing that film?
I didn't actually act with him. When I walked into the room, he was asleep. I shot him in his sleep. I was a coward. He kind of gets up, but he's not quite awake. Who did I work with? I worked with Maury Chaykin in that film, who I learned not learned a lot from, but I was just like, wow, this guy's on fire, you know? And I just saw that just chewing up scenery. Or I had to grab some out of his mouth to save some for me, you know? It's great. I was just like, Andrew, why? Stop with the camera angle. Stop. I can't do anymore.
And they
Yes, they all have bad skin. There's a weird thing there. I don't know. Maybe they all live together. It's a kind of tribe or clan. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure. Well,
I'm gonna get stoned. No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get stoned. What?
Well, I'm sure that when you see like a kid or a fan, that you enjoy signing an autograph for them. But when you see some guy who has 10 posters and photographs, exactly, are you a little bit suspicious when you see that?
It's just kind of creepy. It's just such a fetishistic event, and it's just kind of, yeah. But again, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that my signature's for sale. I'm your best fan. When I can sell it, I don't know. But then I think, well, okay, he's getting some coin for nothing. But then I guess that's not good either, is it?